coins releasing spirits, talking to Lucy Sable through a dragon toy, and Ace gets into a car accident. It's all happening here at AfterBuzz TV. Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello! Hey guys, happy Thursday. Welcome to AfterBuzzers, to the after show of Nancy Drew. We're breaking down Season 1, Episode 7. And over to my far left, I have Samantha Jacobs, who just loves reading all of the Nancy Drew books.
Yes, I do. Hi, guys.
Hey. And right next to Samantha, we have Kate Montgomery, who just loves an old-fashioned mystery.
I really do, and it's getting more and more mysterious.
It is. And then also, Samantha here is running our live chat. So if you're in the chat room, say hello.
Say hi.
I'm
going to say hi back.
And if you are a podcast listener and would like to join in on the live chat, just simply go to AfterBuzzTV.com, select our show, and join on in. We would love to have you. All right, tonight's episode, it was really good. Overall, I liked it. I thought it was pretty spot on. It just keeps getting more mysterious as we go along. We finally get to communicate with Lucy, and she spills some secrets, not only about her death, but Tiffany's death as well. And with Ace, we know a little bit more about his character, and we get to figure out what the chief is holding over him and why he has been working with the chief for so long. And Carson Drew, it turns out he's becoming our number one suspect, which Kay over here is really sad. So sad. But that leads us into our special segment of Whodunit. We're going to predict to see who our number one suspect is. Maybe we don't think it's Carson Drew. Who knows? Mm-hmm. And then we have some news and gossip with Kay. She's going to be giving us some info about episode 8, so you're going to want to stay tuned. And then lastly, we have our predictions. But before we start breaking down tonight's episode, what was your overall thoughts?
I liked it. This was a good one.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's getting juicier and juicier, and you think you know what's going to happen, and then bam, something crazy. Yeah. So I can't wait to dissect this.
Yeah, I really felt like this show is unmatched when it comes to a final daggone scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like the final end scene, like the last 5 minutes of every episode. This episode especially was probably the best of the season. I mean, I couldn't believe it. We got to get some writers in here. I got to hear how they do it. Yeah,
I know. It really keeps you on your toes each time because, I mean, they changed it up with the suspects, which we love, but this in particular, this episode was a jaw dropper for me, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that was jaw-dropping was Lucy Sable. We finally get to communicate with her through a toy dragon. But let's quickly go over the steps on how we get to that point. We bring in Victoria, George's mom, which I love her.
Yeah.
Isn't she fun?
I love her.
She's
so fun.
She has such a great personality. But I just want to know, why does she see the spirits? And Nancy and Ned didn't see the spirits until they were at the Horseshoe Bay ledger. Remember when they're all at the claw and the coins are just going crazy and, and she sees the spirits right behind them. But how come it is certain times, Nancy, I'm sorry, I said Ned, but Nancy and Nick, could see them, and then Victoria can see them at the claw. Did they ever discuss that? I don't know.
No, there was no clear answer for that.
Yeah.
But it could be because, George lives with her mom and there are some spirity things. She's still connected to this. And her mom is so connected with the afterlife that she just might be familiar. Like, they're not necessarily giving her those clues or, trying to speak to George's mom. She's just capable of seeing that, the ghost, because she's the lady they go to see the ghost. So it just might be her vision, and she is warning them because she's seeing it and they obviously aren't yet.
Yeah.
So
that's a good explanation. I thought through it all, this was a really good opportunity. I mean, we see Bess so often as an empathetic person. And I thought it was really cool of her when she sat down and just kind of mentioned to George. You could tell George hadn't really thought about it that way when she said, it must be really lonely and just kind of scary for your mom to have to deal with that all by herself. And you saw George kind of oh, I guess that is true. Not she hadn't really thought about it from her mom's perspective. You know, she was thinking about it from her perspective, which is fair because she has to take care of the kids and she's the breadwinner of the family, and it's a lot on her. But I thought it was really sweet of Bess just to give her that reminder of like,
yeah,
it's a lot.
No, I think Bess did have a good head on her shoulders throughout this episode, because normally she's kind of airy a little bit is the best term I could think of. Like, she kind of just goes with the flow, but there's a time where she really had to put her foot down. And even just the relationship between George and her mom at the end of the episode, she was saying that has to be hard on your mom, because what we went through, I could not even imagine going through that daily or consistently as much as your mom did. But yeah, that was my question, was why is it certain times they could see the spirits? Like, you know, when they were doing the ritual, they all could see it. Is it because the coins are out, or I don't know, but it's just like I felt like sometimes Victoria saw it, and then Nick and Nancy saw it, and then towards the end everyone saw the spirits. So it's just it kind of confused me a little bit by like, okay, sometimes they see the spirits, sometimes they don't see the spirits. But we get introduced to a new character, Candace Weaver. Before we get into her character, what was your overall thoughts on her in general? Because I was thinking, okay, she's now our number one suspect. A new character always seems to be a suspect. But they made it very clear a little bit later when they do the dragon toy that she did not kill Lucy. But do you guys still think she's involved somehow?
I don't think so, because I think she genuinely is just that cocky girl in high school that they were rivals. You know, she got runner up. She didn't win the pageant, you know, so they even clarified that
George
for
said,
her. Right. She's like, you doesn't mean you won.
You don't win runner up.
So I think it's just she just doesn't like her. You know, there's always that person in high school that you just don't like.
Yeah, I felt like she was just a mean girl. She's just a mean girl / hater. Yeah, she wasn't a real, real threat, a real suspect.
Do you think she killed Tiffany?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because they did mention that they'll get into this a little bit later, that she possibly has a connection with Ryan, and they're kind of hinting towards it could be jealousy. Now, she obviously didn't do anything with Lucy, but I don't think when they were all in the ritual, that's what I'm calling it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the correct term, but seance. That they asked, did Candace was connected to Tiffany's murder? I don't think they asked that, so she could be connected still, because if she had a thing with Ryan, don't you think she'd be jealous of Tiffany?
But that was a long time. But best queen of all internets was like, she still comments on his Instagram. I was like, Dad, how do you know that? This is like all in there. But yeah, I was like, I mean, I feel like she would have murdered. I don't know. I couldn't really see it. I don't know.
I don't know either. I think they want us to think that. So I'm going to not think that.
It. You're not going to get me.
Yeah. Well, because Lucy, we'll just get into it. When they were doing the seance, when they had the dragon out, they asked these particular questions. And, Candace did not murder Lucy, but Hudson possibly killed her, which we'll get into a little bit later. But Lucy did see Tiffany's death. And for a while there, I was thinking, is this like a supernatural thing? But then we learned that Tiffany was poisoned. Could that possibly be Candace? Do you think she could have started but didn't finish it?
I don't think so.
No?
Nah. Because I don't think she has a strong enough motive.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I think we might get into a little bit later on. It could be more into predictions, but we are still going to see a relationship between Ryan and Candace, and it will not surprise me if they unleash that in further episodes, because they wouldn't say something like that and then drop it all of a sudden. And I think Candace is going to be around soon. I don't think she's just this character that she's going to be in one episode and that's it. I have a feeling she's going to play a bigger part in this.
I think she has facts.
Yeah.
I think she knows information, but that doesn't necessarily mean she did it, right? She could have information from her dad, or with Ryan, or, there's just so many elements that she could play. But I don't know if she, like you said, has a strong enough motive, unless money is the motive. Who knows? I don't know.
But speaking of money and motives, that leads us to Laura.
Yes.
I was shocked by her character. I had a feeling last week. I was like,
I told y'all I didn't like her from last week. Y'all were like, but she's nice. She wants to find out about her sister's murder. I was like, something's up with her.
No, she's
Something
shady
is up.
for sure.
She's shady.
She is.
I knew it.
And she frustrates me because it's, like you said last week, it's clear that she's psycho. You know, she's
we
a
have
little
this
crazy.
part covered.
Yeah. She's very, like, crazy, and like she's so aggressive with Ace, and it bothers me because she is completely using him, and she uses him and uses him and uses him, and the poor guy doesn't see it, and I'm like, you're being used and abused.
Yeah, that was
Get
my
out.
question was, do you think Laura wants to solve Tiffany's case for the right reasons or the wrong reasons now?
Well, because when she mentioned when they figured out the money thing about how Laura would get the money.
I told y'all last week it was about the money with her. Y'all was like, but she's a rich sister. I'm like,
No.
She just did not seem like she had the best interest at heart at all. Like, and I really, really like how just overall in the whole episode, I felt like Nick was really standing up for himself. And I liked how he said to her, oh, you're really concerned about your sister's murder. That's why you play her 911 call at her funeral. I was like, ooh, the tea is extremely
It's getting crazy.
I really like that. And I also peeped that she called Ace Pony Boy. And I thought that was interesting. Have you guys ever seen the movie or read the book The Outsiders?
I've read a little bit of it, but it was a long time ago when I was in 7th grade. But it was interesting that she did make that reference.
Yeah, because you guys know Pony Boy dies at the end of that movie / book. Yeah. And the thing about Pony Boy is, like, one of the famous lines is one of the characters says to him, stay golden, Pony Boy. And it's from this Robert Frost poem, which basically stay golden means to keep your innocence, stay innocent. So I just thought that was really interesting. Like, what is she about to do to, well, you guys is boy Ace. You know, I don't really care for Ace, but I don't want him to die. But,
No.
Yeah.
Well, like when he had that moment with Nancy, you know, he really wanted to do well. You know, he admitted the situation that he's in.
The chief situation, yeah.
And then she was like, how can I believe you? And I was like, really, Nancy? He opened up to you in this moment, and he wanted to tell you something about Laura. Take the tea and do what you want with it. But she really just shut him down, and then I was like, man, now this guy's even more abused and used. Like, he's not gonna reach the point, and now we don't know if he's ever gonna be able to.
Yeah, I really did hate that part. I thought she should have given him a little more leeway. You know, she just kind of stormed off. I was like, at least get the rest of the information.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, that's really unfair.
And Ace was trying to tell Nancy, hold on, I think something is going on between Laura, but she was out of there.
Yeah.
Do you think, because the show right now is making us think that possibly Laura murdered Tiffany and then now is trying to pin it as a murder so she can get the money. Are you guys on board with this theory?
I don't know if I think that she murdered her. I think that it might be a combination. Like, it might be that, it might be something like she found out that the Hudsons were doing something shady and she kind of looked the other way, or some people kind of colluded, like a few people might have their hands, you know, some dirty hands. But for me, she isn't innocent at all. But I also think that she's going to die in that car accident. So we're never going to know. Or we're not going to know from her.
Well, Logan Knight from the chat, he's like, Laura is my girl.
He's a Laura
But
fan.
girl isn't psycho. If anything, she's just a badass. He said, I mean, Nancy was impressed by her, so Laura didn't kill her sister since it doesn't make sense. Other people are saying that Laura inherits, so the cause of Tiffany's death is murder. She did it for nothing, so it doesn't make sense because she already has money, basically.
No. We do not. Here's what we don't know. We don't know for sure that Laura has any money. I don't know what everybody is like. She's rich. Like,
She gives off the persona.
She
thought
gives off
Bess was rich.
Yes. Thank
you.
And she
There
lives
you
in a
go.
car.
Thank you. Thank you, Samantha.
I think there's a
Okay.
backstory between Tiffany and Laura that they're going to dive into in further episodes. But right now, we're just thinking, okay, what they're saying is Tiffany cut Laura off. I think there's more to it. Why did Tiffany do that? Like, what was her motive for that? Do we have any thoughts?
Oh, I didn't know
She's the
Tiffany
younger-
cut her off. I thought they were saying she wouldn't let her get at her inheritance until she turned 25, and then she sued her because she wanted that money.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
because she sued her because she wanted to get her... Well, it was rightfully her money, I guess. It's her inheritance or whatever. But that whole messiness of them fighting over money does definitely make her, suspect, I think.
But, like, Ace even asked her, I think that's who she was talking to, when he was like, well, why did she stop talking to you? Why did you end your relationship with your sister for X amount of years or whatever? And so for that to be alone, I think she doesn't work. She wants money. Yeah. She acts like she has it. She wants to live up to the standard of her family lifestyle. And she doesn't know any way else to do that except for getting the inheritance.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But if I had to pick between Laura and Candace on who helped the situation, maybe Laura didn't do the murder, but she was heavily involved in it, I would say Laura more than Candace.
Good point. Yeah,
I would too.
There's more motive.
I would say that.
Yeah.
So when they are talking to Lucy Sable through the dragon toy, I wrote this down. But so Candace did not murder her. Hudson possibly killed her. That leaves Laura still in the mix a little bit because it kept going back and forth. And she's haunting Nancy on what she found in the attic, which kind of brings us on to Carson, which we'll talk about later. And then the same person that killed her did not kill Tiffany.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That was very interesting because I thought this was, I think it's all connected, but I thought it might have been the same person that was doing these murders. And then she saw who killed Tiffany. And at the end, of course, the coins melted. But after all of this, there is a spirit now in the dragon. And it's not Lucy Sable.
Can we just talk about how awesome that was?
Yeah.
That scene when the little girl's just coloring along. You're like, oh, George's little sister. You're like, no.
Yeah. She's like, blue skies or blue mountains. Blue mountains. And it was like, green.
I was like, what is happening? That's probably the best scene this whole season. That has to be my favorite scene because it was just such a perfect balance of it's still talking, it's nobody we know, it's one of these never dead or undead come back to life with an innocent child. I mean, it was just like so many different things together that were horrifying. Whoever wrote that, chef's kiss to you. I mean,
you're good. We approve. I don't think it's Tiffany because we already had a situation with Tiffany coming through George. So I don't think they're going to play it out. And it's not Lucy. So who could it be? It's someone that we haven't been introduced to yet. But maybe there's a third person that got killed that ties into Lucy and Tiffany that we don't know about yet.
Yeah. It could be the cute little waitress who came into the... remember the waitress that got beheaded?
And who was it? George was talking to her the whole time, and she wasn't.
She came. She blew on shore with the wind and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, they just got dead spirits all over Horseshoe Bay. I don't know, honey.
We did talk about near the beginning of this season. We were like, oh, there needs to be another ghost. Another ghost is coming. We just don't know who. And then here we are. There's a new ghost. We still don't know who, but at least the presence has finally arrived.
That's a good point.
So we did good job.
We did. True
good
crew,
job,
give it up. Yeah. We're doing it. All right. But we were a fan of that scene between George's little sister and the dragon. We loved it. So we want more scenes like that. But speaking of our fans, Kay here has a message for you, AfterBuzzers.
Yeah, so our AfterBuzz super fans, we love you guys. We're so glad you're here and showing us support. We have 3 things to ask of you. First of all, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And then if you're listening on iTunes, because we also have a podcast, as you well know, make sure to give us a 5-star rating. And then no matter where you are, if you're on the podcast listening, if you're on YouTube watching, always remember to comment. We love and need those comments. And so we just want to thank Maria and Kevin who created this entire digital platform for us. We love it here at AfterBuzz. We love having you guys in our live chat, especially in Nancy Drew. You guys are awesome. And we just want to thank you for being super fans.
Thank you. Well, I'm a fan of Ace, you guys. I am.
Yeah,
I've always liked
I like
Ace.
Ace, too.
I know Kay. I know. But
He's not bad. He's just,
we finally get to figure out what is going on between him and the chief. And I think we touched base on this. I think someone later on predicted that, because he's into hacking, it had to do with the government computer, and the chief found out, so that he has this hold over him to kind of help Ace do his work for him. But I think he was being really sincere when we were talking to Nancy. And I know we touched base on this a little earlier, but I think I always got the impression that he wanted to be part of the Drew crew.
Yeah.
So between Laura and Ace, that relationship still confuses me. I think Laura is just using him to an extent because she obviously wants to figure out what's going on with Tiffany for her own motives. It could be money. But why do you think she knew that Ace was involved with the chief in the first place? Do you think she had an idea and she just kind of wanted just to be in the loop? Because remember, she made those posters with the chief saying, basically he's letting murder get away. Did she know? Do you think she had a connect? She knew about Chief and Ace?
I think she did, just because she made a weird reference. Wow, I can't speak. To him today, or not today. Oh my gosh, a few episodes ago, and she said something about, "Hey, I know you're good at hacking." Like she gave that hint, like, I know your secret. And at the time we were like, oh yeah, Ace likes to hack, he knows how to do it, but it's actually like what got him in trouble. So I think she knows something about it, but I don't think she knows the depth of it, of how it's kind of basically a blackmail situation. So who knows?
Yeah.
We'll get into the car accident. And I watched the promo, so I kind of know what's going to happen into. I don't know if we could say it now because it kind of is a spoiler. But Ace is recording the whole thing that's happening. So regardless of what happens to Ace, we are going to find what Laura and Ace were talking about later on. The conversation, do you think Laura did this on purpose, or do you think this could have been a freak accident with supernatural? Not a freak accident, but something with supernatural was involved with it.
Well, I have a little more, but that's in news, so I can't
That's
say.
news. Okay.
I think someone was probably trying to kill Laura.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a supernatural situation. I don't know if the officer got upset and was like, this has to end, and this is how I'm going to end it. I don't know if people just don't like her, or the Hudsons or whoever. They're like, you ruined the funeral. Let's just plow you over. I don't know. But I don't think it was something of Ace's nature. I don't think Ace was the person being attacked here in this situation.
Yeah. But he did record the conversation, so I can't wait till they play that, because I want to know what they're talking about, because even Ace is suspicious of Laura now, especially when he was talking with Bess, too. So,
and I think he was recording because he wanted to show it to Nancy and be like, look, I really am on your side. I want to be in the Drew crew.
Oh, yeah? I was just assuming he was recording it for the chief.
Oh.
No, I think it was for Nancy.
Yeah,
I think he cares more about what Nancy thinks and what the chief thinks about him. But speaking of the chief, do you think it's interesting how he pulled Nancy aside and now wants to work with her? Did you see that coming?
I did not see that coming.
I didn't see it coming either.
Yeah, and just as an aside, I love the actor that plays the chief.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I was like, the chief kind of cute today. Hey, chief.
No, chief, no.
I thought that was really interesting that he was basically like, I don't like you, you don't like me, but I think we should work together. I was like, okay, like you should have done that day one.
Yeah.
You knew she wasn't the actual killer day one. You should have been trying to collaborate with her a long time ago. You would have
He doesn't
found
like
this
her.
out a long time ago. Yeah.
Do we think he's as innocent as he claims? Like, he's like, I have no idea why this is getting framed on me, but you're in trouble, I'm in trouble, let's work together so that way we can get out of this mess? Or do you think he's trying to work with Nancy because he was behind Tiffany's death, and he is thinking he's trying to play smart by making himself appear innocent in a way?
He's definitely playing smart.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if we want to relate it to Lucy. I don't know if we want to relate it to Tiffany. I think he's done with Nancy and doesn't want her to find out the secrets of the city. And so he's kind of like that guy that's like, I have to do anything I can to make this stop.
Yeah. I'm with Carlos Hernandez in the live chat. I don't think the chief is a bad guy. I think that he's just now realized this is the opportune time and he needs to work with Nancy, but I don't think he's behind anything.
No.
I think he's kind of clueless.
Clueless?
Yeah.
Do you think it'll come on later on that Carson and the chief have a relationship back in the day at all that could kind of go towards Lucy Sable's murder? Because it just seems like everyone in this town knows each other, and the chief is still this mystery that's kind of out of the loop. But I know he's connected to somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't know, my instincts are just telling me Carson and the chief might be playing on the same side here.
I think so. I think they do have an established relationship. And so even though, he doesn't really help Carson necessarily, they know each other. They've been through it together. We don't know what they've been through together.
That's a good point.
But
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. They still have a relationship of some kind. We just don't know what that is.
And we know that Carson is connected with Lucy. We don't know the details yet. Yeah. But if Carson did anything that was part of Lucy's death, having a chief on your side is good because they can cover it up because they work with the police station.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll come on later on where we'll see a relationship. And maybe that's why the chief is now reaching out to Nancy because of Carson to keep an eye on her so she doesn't get too close to anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's coming out of all the blue. Like, why is the chief now wanting to be on Nancy's side and want to work together? There had to be some backline to it.
Oh, Carson.
But that leads us into Carson Drew. Right now, you're kind of a number one suspect. That's what the show's making us believe. Carson. What are your thoughts, Kay?
I mean, listen, guys, I was devastated.
I bet you were.
I was devastated.
I bet you were.
I was like, say it ain't so. Carson, say it is not so. What about the amount of, like, I don't want to say denial Nancy was in, but she's with Nick. They're uncovering things together. She still won't talk to him about it. She's not giving him anything. She didn't even say, like, hey, I found this in the attic. Like, nothing.
No.
My dad is being suspicious. I'm finding different clues. Like, that was really upsetting. I mean, that was almost upsetting as finding out that that Carson is very suspicious. I was trying to think of a million ways that he wouldn't be implicated. Like, I was trying to talk him out of it. I was like, no. What if this happened with this, and then that's why? No. What if, and I could not.
No.
So I just don't know, you guys.
Well, it says here, Nick was telling Nancy that the husbands paid Carson Drew 2 days after Lucy's death for $50,000.
And the kicker was because he was doing a lot of stuff for them. So it was like, oh, well, he's a lawyer. He could have done it in a different situation. Blah, blah. And he was like, but they paid it through a shell company. I was like, not a shell company. Like, oh, it wasn't even through the regular channels. I was just like, oh, my goodness, this is looking worse and worse.
Yeah.
And then to top it off, Carson visited Sanders' lab. Now, we don't know for sure if he took the evidence, the crown, but...
And all of it.
All of it. But now, and then he's tracking Nancy forever. Like, this has been going on for a long time. So every text message that Nancy has been getting that's leading her towards this case, Carson is seeing it. That's why I'm still thinking Carson and the chief are connected. And that's why the chief is honing in on Nancy because Carson is seeing everything that his daughter is going through and she's getting too close to it. But do you think Carson took the evidence, took Lucy Sable's crown?
What, and put it back in the attic?
Right? Where the dress is at? Or did he burn it? Did he burn it?
Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm trying to think of what he would have done with the evidence if he did take it, right? Is he trying to hide something? Like, what does he have to cover up?
Well, it could be Nancy's mom because we find out that Cecilia Hudson was out of town and it couldn't have matched up where the the hair on the crown wasn't hers. Because for last episode, we were thinking it was her. But there is still a suspect that it could be Carson's wife, and maybe that's what he wants to cover up.
Oh, so she doesn't know it's her mom?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
That's my theory.
No, that's a good one.
Because they always keep going back to that scene where it was Carson, Nancy's mom, and they're
Pulling that trunk up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, go Carson.
Right, and so if
he's going to
Anne-
protect his woman at all costs, even in
Yeah.
death.
If Karen was best friends with her mom, that means her mom was probably friends with Lucy Sable too.
I think that's what I'm saying. Everyone in this town knows
they
each
all
other.
know each other. That's
They
true.
all know each other. So it's coming around. But I want to touch base a little bit on Nick and Nancy's relationship. They are broken up now, or just taking a break.
Yeah. It's over.
Yes,
It's over.
Go, Nick. Stand up for yourself.
Yes.
I'm proud of you. That was a hard situation. The puppy eye. She fake cried. She did all the girl things, and you passed the test.
You're right. So we are
Agreed.
so we're all on Nick's side with this breakup.
I am.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I shipped Nick and Nancy very hard. I did.
You did.
But I'm telling you like this. Nick found out he's boo and not bae. That's what I feel like. He thought he was bae, but he's not before anybody else. He's not. He's just a little fun, unfortunately, little fling guy. And so I think once he realized that, he really got it. This episode, and he was
said
just
that.
like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm boo. I got it, but that's not. I'm better than boo. Like I'm better than boo. I'm gonna find better than boo. It's not you. What did you say?
Find your bae.
Find your bae, because she is not. So that was I was sad, but then I was like, actually, I'm not sad.
I'm not sad.
because he deserves better, and good for him for going to find better. Yeah, she
I
doesn't
agree.
deserve him.
You
She
know
doesn't
how
deserve
hard
him.
it is to break up with somebody?
It's hard.
That's like you're working with, like they're doing things together. Like he's saying, we're done, but I'm still gonna have to do this detective thing with you.
What are you guys
know?
thinking about George and Nick?
I saw that.
Because when he was at the Claw restaurant, George is like, oh, you like it this way, you like your order this way, or was it coffee or something?
Yeah.
And Nancy even kind of looked like, what's going on between you two? And I felt like they bonded last episode, when they're trying to solve the case together, because Nancy was off doing her own thing. Are we shipping George and Nick?
I think George is gonna be a little too much for Nick. I mean, that would be cute, but George is a lot, a whole lot. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna work. I think it would be very complicated, and I don't think it's gonna work. I don't exactly ship it, but I mean, I'm all for Nick being happy, but I don't know if he can handle George.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not bae, but she might be on the way.
Yeah. She's not big, but she might be on the way.
Because she deals with her siblings. She knows how to care for someone. And I think Nick is looking for at least that affection in this moment in time. Like, nobody is there for him. And he wants to go home and unwrap and talk and, like, have someone be there in his face, cuddle. He wants
Yeah.
that regular attention.
Yeah.
And that's something that George is good at. But that doesn't mean, I don't think, I agree, that I don't think they're going to be a long-term couple. Yeah.
Well, just a little theory with her out there. We're kind of a fan of it, maybe, possibly. We'll see. But let's get into our fun segment of Whodunit. Yes. Sam, take it away.
We, every week, decide who done it. We want to see one step closer who killed Tiffany. And we're going to start with Kay this week. Who do you think
Who
killed?
do I think killed Tiffany? Man, it's getting tougher and tougher, guys. I am going to say, I think, guys, I don't know. I'm just gonna say, I think that
You can pass this week.
yeah, I'm
Wanna
gonna
pass?
pass. I really don't know. I mean, I could just throw something. I'll just throw it out, and I'll say, I think that George did it.
George did it.
George did
We'll
it.
throw it at George. I'm going to go with the chief. I know in the chat room you're thinking the chief is a good guy, but I'm saying we still don't know his backstory, and everyone's connected to someone. So that's my theory.
It's a good one. I'm on the Laura train. Psycho, let's go.
Yeah.
She's the one.
Laura.
Yeah.
Laura's the one. And if you have any people you think who done it today, remember to talk to us in the live chat, and we'll read who you thought done it.
Well, we'll see. Well, I just cannot wait to watch next episode, which leads us into our news and gossip. Kay's going to give us some more information about that.
Yes, so episode 8 is going to be our next show. The title is The Path of Shadows. So we know Thanksgiving is next week, so they aren't going to have a show next week. It's going to be December 4th. Guys, it's going to be December. How crazy. Okay, so the information I got was that the Drew crew discovers the car wreck leaves one of their own at death's door. So we know if it's one of their own, it has to be Ace, right? Because Laura's the other one in the car, and she's not one of our own at all. And the description says it was no accident. So, Samantha, you were right about that.
No accident.
No accident. There was a saboteur. Yes, honey.
Oh.
So, next episode, we're going to find that they're not in Horseshoe Bay anymore. They get into the metaphysical world, is what I hear.
What?
Okay, well, that leads us into our predictions really quick.
Very interesting.
What do you guys think is going to happen next episode?
And now, you're AfterBuzz TV.
I think we're going to find out who that mystery ghost is.
Good one. That's a good
If
one.
we're going to enter that land, let's go there. Let's find out who it is.
So my prediction is that Laura is going to die. And she's going to be a ghost.
That's a good one.
And be, what's the word when you're not at rest? Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Scattered and crazy. But I think a psycho. But I think what's also interesting is going to happen. You guys know I don't care for Ace, but when the accident, I was like, oh my gosh, Ace.
Yeah.
I think Bess and Ace are going to get a lot closer, and it's going to be a sticky situation for Bess. Because she's going to want to come and take care of him and feel so bad that he's in the hospital, and she's going to start kind of develop feelings for him.
That's interesting. Well, I'm going back with Nancy and Owen. Now that Nick and Nancy are taking a break, I think Owen's going to come back into the picture. So we'll see.
That. I could see that.
But really quickly before we go, Samantha, where can they find you on social media?
You guys can find me on Instagram at storyof_Samantha.
And you guys can find me at hostkay, HOSTKAY, on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me on Instagram at Chelsie Overocker. That's Chelsea with an IE. And on Twitter at ChelsieOverocker. All right, you guys, we won't be here next week, but we'll be here the following, back on December 5th. So have a good, happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.